Alright, so welcome back to Dell of Merchants 2. Now, these guys are actually a promo card. They came with Dell of Merchants 2, but they're actually a promo card. So if you bought Dell of Merchants 2 a long time ago, you probably don't have these. Okay? Now, these guys are definitely a little bit more... There's definitely a little bit more going on with these guys. So this is not for first-time beginners. These cards are not for beginners to Dell of Merchants, okay? But let's talk about how these guys work, okay? So these are systematic Eurasian beavers, okay? And so the first one here is the Master Builder, and it's a technique. Next time you purchase a card, you may place one card used in the purchase on top of your deck. So this is a technique that might not get fully, obviously, fully resolved for later on. This could be, because this will only be effective until the next time you purchase a card. So if you play this technique and then don't purchase a card this round, it could be a while. It might not even be necessarily the next time it's your turn. But regardless of the case, you'll play this card, okay? You'll put it into play, and then the next time you purchase a card, you may place one card used in the purchase on top of your deck. That is powerful, though, because usually you'll have to discard the cards that you use to buy a card from the market. If you play this technique and then purchase a card, and you use a really powerful card to do so, you can, instead of discarding it, you get to put the card that you want, obviously, to put back on top of your deck. That's very powerful. Okay, so here we have Snack. This is another technique. You'll also notice that this technique does not have a plus on it. Okay? Does not have a plus. So if you use this technique, you won't be using a bonus action. And let me just double check something. So far, I've just been going over the fact that all the techniques that I've been talking about all have pluses. So let me just double check if all of the techniques have pluses. Okay, so here's one. If you play the technique Shopping Journey, this one does not have a plus on it, so you're not going to get to use a bonus action with this one. So if I forgot to clarify that, I'm clarifying it now. Let me just double check everybody else. I don't know if I missed anybody else, but we'll see. Looks good so far. Yeah, that's it then. Yeah, so until we came to these cards here, this card is the only card we've talked about thus far, besides this one, that doesn't have a plus action after you use the technique. Okay? So that's one. So it's a rare, for sure. This is a technique that doesn't have a plus. And that's it. So these are the only two cards. Snack and Shopping Journey are the only two cards, at least in Dell of Merchants 2, that doesn't have the plus action on it. So that's really interesting. I didn't notice that until just now. So it's a good thing that it was just those two cards. So I'm not messing up too much. Okay, so let's talk about this card. Next time, before you build a stack, you may choose a card from the market and place it into your hand. Well, that is really interesting. So the next time you decide you're going to build a stack, before you do so, you can choose a card from the market, put it into your hand, and then maybe even if it's a card and then if you want to, you can use the card that you just got from the market and place it into the stack. Of course, it still has to utilize the stack, but that does allow for some careful planning, for sure. So a snack is definitely a good one. Okay, Wind of Change. Next time you have purchased a card, this is a technique, you may search your discard pile and throw away one card from there. So this is another technique that won't get fully, obviously fully realized, fully finished right away either. Okay? So, you purchase a card. The next time you do so, you search your discard pile, and you get to throw away a card from there. So that's a really cool one for sure. Okay, here we have Over Time. This is another technique. Next time you build a stack, you may include cards from your discard pile. So that's really interesting. Now remember, if you're going to build a stack, it still has to live up to the code of the stack. If you're building a 4 stack, it still has to be a number 4. You still have to use the same exact type of cards, or same color, if you will, to build the stack. That's not saying that you can use any cards you want from the discard pile. It just says you may include cards from the discard pile, meaning if there's a card you need, a particular number or a particular color that's sitting in your deck, a particular color that's sitting in your discard pile, I mean, not your deck, then you can utilize that to build the stack instead if you want to, because you may include. So that's a pretty interesting card. Okay, and let's talk about this one first. Order in Chaos. Next time, before you shuffle your deck, you may draw your deck and your discard pile and place them into your hand. Then you'll discard down to the number of cards you had before. So let's say you had 3 cards in your hand when you use this as a technique. Okay, let's just say you use this as a technique, and later down the road, when it's time to shuffle your decks, because you need more cards, because you only have 3 cards in your hand, and you need more cards, you'll get to draw all the cards from the deck. Obviously, you'll get to do it from your discard pile as well, and you'll get to place all of those cards into your hand, and then you get to choose basically which cards you're going to keep and discard down to 3. So you'd be discarding down to the same number, and then you would obviously have to shuffle your deck, or you would discard the number down to the, so you discard the rest of the cards. So all of the cards would then get discarded, obviously. You would have the 3 cards you needed, but then you would get to still draw the extra cards. So it's a good way of getting some cards for sure. But when it's called Order and Chaos, this is definitely one of the more confusing cards there is. It still kind of confuses me a little bit, for sure. Okay, and then we have one left. Practice. This is another technique. Next time you would discard a fully resolved technique card, you may place it into your hand. So the next time you would discard a fully resolved technique card, so a technique card you had played previously, now it's being fully resolved after you have played this technique, you may then place it into your hand. So that's really cool. So you play a technique card. It could be a while before that technique card is fully resolved. But even if it's and so basically it's for those that might take a little bit longer to fully resolve. Then you play this technique card after that at some point. Then when that other card is fully resolved, then you get to place that card into your hand instead of discarding it. So then you can use it again much, much sooner. So practice makes perfect. And this one will definitely take some doing. This one will definitely take some practice on when to play it and when not to play it, obviously. But that's all of the cards for the systematic Eurasian beavers. And that's how all of the cards work in Dell of Merchants 2. So thank you guys for watching these videos. If you liked any of them, don't hesitate to leave a like. Thank you guys for watching.